everyone. Welcome to the Sunshine and Bubblegum podcast. My name is Lynn and I'll be your host. This is episode 3 and I'm so excited for everyone who's been tuning in to watch. Thank you so much. And if you're a new viewer, welcome. I'm a mom of 3.5-year-old twin boys and I'm staying at home right now, and they start school in the fall and I can't wait. I'll have a little bit more time for crafting and knitting and all the good stuff. Oh, and cleaning the house and grocery shopping and all of that too. But welcome anyway. This is a knitting, crocheting, and crafting podcast. And I have a lot to show you today. I reached out to my family members to get a little feedback on what they thought about the podcast so far. My husband's a computer guy and tech guy, and he said, you need a better camera. So I was filming on my iPad, and now I'm filming on my iPhone for the moment, and I can tell already that the picture is a bit clearer and hopefully the colors will come through very nice. So let's try that out. My sister said that it was wonderful because she's good like that. But maybe I needed to try and work on my structure because I'm a bit all over the place, and that's the way my mind thinks. So I'm going to try really hard to rein it in and stay on task. So let's see where we get to today. First, I have 2 huge thank yous to give out. First, to Barbara from the Knitting I Love podcast. She was so sweet and gracious and gave me a big shout out and a lot of love for my podcast. So thank you so much. I wish you lived a lot closer than Ireland, because I think you and I could get up into a lot of trouble or maybe a lot of fun together, and it would be really great to hang out with you sometime. So I'll put that on my list to make it to Ireland. And second, I got a shout out from Margaret and Shelagh from the Three Sisters Knit podcast, and they are also on their 3rd episode just like I am. So it's really great to be having this journey with some wonderful people. The community is so encouraging and welcoming, and it's been a lot of fun. And I love seeing how everybody, the way everybody knits, the things everybody likes to knit and crochet and work on, and the yarn and the weaving and the spinning. It's I can't stop my mind from wanting to do it all and learn it all. So this has been a lot of fun. So let's keep going. Sorry, trying not to be too distracted. It's a little late. It's about 9:30 here already, and everyone's asleep except for me. So let's work with finished objects. Woo! The first big thing that I know everybody has been dying to see is the blanket. It is the LSU Big Stripes blanket, and it is finished. I will tell you, having this podcast has given me all the encouragement I need to keep knitting and keep going and keep on task, because I wanted to get it finished so I could show everybody and get more things on the needles, working on more projects, and I really needed to have that one done to be able to do that. So I'm going to stand up to show you this one. The finished size is a little bit bigger than 4x6, and it came out beautiful. I'll try and get the edging so you can see the border. Oh, see, the colors are better already. The border and the sides are all seed stitch, and then the center is stockinette. And this is my own pattern. I did it on size 9 needles, circular needles. And the yarn is from Hobby Lobby. I love this yarn, and it is a purple, a sungold, and an ivory. So this will be going out to its new owner shortly. The second item that I finished was actually a pair of butterflies. If all goes well, you saw them in the intro. I'm playing with a new editing app. So I'm a complete newbie with all of this. So it's either going to be fantastically awesome, or you people are going to be very scared and worried and say, go back to whatever boring thing you did last episode. So, fingers crossed, this is fun. But if it went right, you saw the butterflies in the intro, and they're also on my Ravelry page. And they are going to my super best friend, Laura, out in Colorado. We have been friends since we were tiny kids. Our families both have homes in Gloucester on the river. She has a family cottage. Her family comes from all over, and mine are from Gloucester. And for generations now, our families have just grown up together. And she owns the Silver Bead in Glenwood Springs, Colorado. It is a stone and bead shop for jewelry making and just all the beautiful things. She also has a yarn section that her mom helps out with, and I think she might be in charge of. I hope that's all right information. I'll make sure to put all of her information in the show notes. And right now she has a beautiful tree outside of her store that just finished being a gypsy tree in all of its glory. She had completely yarn bombed the whole tree, and it was beautiful. So now it's going under its second phase, and it is going to be the blooming tree for the spring and summer. So the butterflies are on its way to be part of the blooming tree, and as soon as they are added and she sends me pictures, I will post those on my Instagram. I realized I didn't tell anyone where to find me. I am Sunshine Bubblegum on Instagram and on Ravelry, and we also have a Ravelry group, Sunshine and Bubblegum Podcast. If everyone would love to join that, that would be great. I'd love to hear from you and see who's out there listening, and any feedback and would be wonderful. And also I am on, I have a little Etsy store, which is Sunshine and Bubblegum, and I'm on Facebook too, which is Sunshine and Bubblegum. And it's mostly the same as my Instagram feed, a lot of the same pictures. So you can be on one or the other or both. That would be great. Okay, so those are my two finished objects. Now I had time to cast on new things. So my next big project is another blanket. It's going to the same sweet lady that ordered the last one. She has two beautiful daughters, and they both are graduates of LSU, and they both got blankets last year. This one I think is going to a different family member, but both of her daughters are getting married. One of them is going to marry a gentleman from, let me get it straight. Sorry, my notes are down here. Please bear with me 1 second. Minnesota, and he is a Minnesota Twins fan. So I was tasked with the please make a Minnesota Twins colored blanket. So that's what I'm about to do. Sorry, my notes are falling now. And, okay, so here's the start. This one will be crocheted. It will also be, it's going to be a little bigger. It's going to be about 4.5 by 6.5. It is for a 6'4" gentleman. So we're going to make this one a little bigger. But it will have the navy, the ivory, the red is a cranberry, and then it's going to have just a touch of the sun gold every once in a while for the Minnesota Twins colors. So this is coming along, and this goes way faster than the knitting, so I'm very excited. This should be done in about a month is my goal. So we'll see. Hopefully you'll have big progress every time I show this blanket. I would like to show you a lot of progress. So that's my first cast on. My second cast on is in my turtle bag, and this is my pillow out of the Malabrigo. The poor Malabrigo is finally getting cast on. So this is the Malabrigo. This is the worsted. In the worsted weight, it's a single, and it's twisted. Okay. Let's see. So that is the Malabrigo. This is Polar Morn. I believe it's 009. So pretty. And I'm knitting these on number 9s. It doesn't have any other information than that. And this is going to be the front of the pillow. Or maybe the back. You'll see the detail when it's done. I don't want to give away all the surprises. But it just has a little garter edge right there, and it's all stockinette. But I love how this yarn is working up, and this is one of the reasons I chose it, was for the color variations, but also the texture variation. The yarn has some areas that puff and some that are thinner, so it gives you a lot of depth. And because it's going to be all stockinette Sorry if I'm covering my mouth while I'm talking. It's all stockinette on the one side, and then there'll be a detail on the other. So I really wanted to pick a yarn that I thought would give it a lot of depth and interest. So it's working out the way I was hoping it would. So that is my Malabrigo pillow. Doesn't have a fun name yet, but I will give it one. And the last thing that is new on my needles are my socks. You're going to be so proud of me. Okay, so I chose to do Susan B. Anderson's Smooth Operator socks, which she released just at the right time because she knew that I was knitting socks for the first time with a striped yarn, and I needed a really good pattern for a beginner with a heel that was also going to stripe. So thank you, Susan. I appreciate it. I love you. I've never met you. You've never met me. So her pattern has been really, really easy and nice to follow. She's got lots of pictures and has the directions for the circular, has instructions for double pointed, and I have ordered the double pointed needles because I do need those for the heels, and they are on their way somewhere. It's been about 10 days since I ordered them from Knit Picks, but it's coming from England, so I'm being as patient as I can. But I'm at the point where I either go another row or I wait and be patient and work on other things until they come so I can put my heel in. But right now I have 6 inches on both, and I have to tell you how these started because they didn't always look so beautiful. I had started with that brown yarn that I showed maybe last episode as my trial yarn, and I had done 64 cast on 64, and I felt that they were too tight. Now granted, I only got this far on them, so I don't know if that was the best way to judge. So I decided I was just going to add a few more stitches. So I originally cast on 68, started knitting and got to about here and realized that they were huge. They were way too big, they were loose, and they had no negative ease. How's that? Negative ease to them. So I had to figure out, okay, what do I do? Do I just take them off? Do I decrease now and hope for the best? So after throwing it out to the Instagram world, I got some good advice that just take them out. Just frog them, because they're never going to be right. You're always going to know that they're wrong there, and you'll feel way better if you just frogged them. And besides, I was only an inch in, so come on, Lynn, let's do this. So I recast on 64, and I'm loving it. And also, when I had cast them on originally, I just started where the ball started, and they were the stripes were different. So when I went back, I decided that that was going to bother me, and if I was going to do it, I wanted to do it right. So not that there's a right way to do stripy socks, because they can be any way you want. But I thought, since I was so close, it was only one color off, so I decided to pull to take off that one extra and start so they're identical, and they're coming out great. I find that my gauge is really tight. I have 9 stitches to the inch, and these are on a 1.5, and the pattern calls for, I think, 7 or 8. But when I tried them on so far, they really have, they're snug, but they're not too tight. So I think they'll be okay, and they're for my first pair. So if I need to go up a needle size, I think this will be my first learning step. So this is one full color repeat, and I was thinking of putting the heels in here. But if those needles take too much longer, there might be a couple more stripes before they get here. But these have been a lot of fun, and I'm glad that I cast them both on. I did the cuffs on each, and then I did, worked the stripes, one and then the other. And I think if I didn't do that, I would only have one sock. I can completely see how you cast on one, you get so excited about the color changes, you're waiting for the next color, you're waiting for the next color, and you just knit and you knit and you knit, and then when you're done, you're like, okay, that was great. I want to see how something else knits up. So I think if, you know, for me, knitting socks, I'm going to have to cast them both on at the same time. Otherwise, there will only be one sock. And the grocery girls will have to do, next summer, another calendar of the second socks of summer just for me, because it'll be a basket of one sock. So this is keeping me on track. So my socks are only little drama. There was one more big drama. And I was knitting them, and my kids were running around, and I found with the socks it was okay to knit around them because it's small and portable and I can hold it up like this when they come running. And they came and they jumped, and the last 6 stitches jumped off the needle, and I stood up having it like you know, you go into that like panic attack mode and you're trying not to yell. So I went and shut myself in the bathroom, and I got out my husband's reading glasses and a pair of tweezers because the yarn was so small. And I'm fishing it through with tweezers, and I got them all back on. I finished the row, and then when I was done hyperventilating, I was like, okay, I'm going to put it away now because I'm going to freak out. And knitting should not be stressful. It should not be stressful. So, my sock drama, hashtag sock problems. I'm doing all right. And we'll see what comes up with the heels, but so far, so good. And also, I hope my glasses aren't giving too much of a glare. I can see a little glare of myself back from my phone. But the second episode, I tried to go without them, and I put contacts in, and my son Sean told me that he doesn't like watching the Mama Show if I'm not wearing my glasses, because my podcast to him is called The Mama Show. So, Shawnee, honey, I got my glasses on for you. All right. Oh, 2 quick things. The pillow I'm working on is completely a pattern all by myself. I'm just making that up as I go along. The blanket, the crochet blanket, the pattern is Cabin in the Woods by Lorna Miser. And that pattern is on Ravelry. And it's done in different colors, and it's actually done in different stitches each row, but I'm doing it all in double crochet, but I'm following the color repeats in the original pattern. So you'll see that as it goes. But the stitches, the actual types of stitches will be different. They use puff stitches and also more lacy stitches. So there's some where you skip a stitch, and so there's holes. But I'm just doing double crochet as I go. So I just want to make sure, I'm trying to read my notes and make sure I get all the right information out. Let's see. So, for my crafting portion this week, I am adding sewing because there are so many podcasters that are sewing and making all the things. Jenny and Devin from the HANDMADE and WOOLEN podcast are having a few make-alongs, and they're just so much fun. And they're kind of part of me living my dream to be up in New England and living in a cabin on the lake or on the ocean and knitting all the things and making all the things. And I'm a little jealous, but they're very inspiring, and I love watching them. And I've also been watching Katie of Inside number 23, and she is now hosting a sew-along for the Hollyburn skirt. And I thought, oh, that's so sweet, that's so fun, wouldn't that be fun to do? And then I thought about it and thought about it and thought about it and said, I'm going to do it. I've sewed before. I know how to sew. I have a sewing machine. When I was younger, 8th grade, for my 8th grade semi-formal, my mom helped me and I made my own dress. And that was before I had any fear of what could go wrong with sewing. That thing had boning, that thing was made of satin, that had lace, it had spaghetti straps, it had a zipper, all the things. And somewhere after that, I got scared of sewing. I think, cutting the fabric is scary because you can't go back. So especially when you're making a garment, if you cut it too small and you spend a lot of money on a really pretty fabric, it's scary. And it could be a big bummer. But I want to be braver, and I want to try new things, so I'm going to put myself out there, and I'm going to join the Holly Byrne skirt sew-along. And I've picked out my fabric. I believe it starts in August. She's put up a couple videos already on getting ready. One's on all of your fabric choice selections, and one is all the bits and pieces you need to actually sew it. Your machine and scissors and needles, and she's got the whole list. It's really great. You have to check it out. So I went to Joann's and bought my fabric, and this is actually a cotton. And it's probably not going to come out right. This is a denim blue, but it's very thin. It's very, very flowy. It's just a light cotton. So I think this will be really fun. I was going for something neutral. I don't have a lot in my wardrobe, and I'd really like to build it with pieces that I love. Currently, it's a lot of clothes that were pre-pregnancy, which don't really fit me anymore, so I've gotten rid of a lot of those. Maybe a couple maternity things in there. And then a lot of things that I've bought in after, which are t-shirts and shorts. So this is going to be really fun. I could have an adult wardrobe and be, you know, a fancy dresser. So maybe. We'll see how far it goes. We're going to start with a skirt, and then we'll go from there. So I love the fabric. I have all of my notions and bits, and I think I'm ready for whatever the next step is. Except for I got the PDF pattern, so I have to go and print that out. That's going to be fun. So I'm hoping to get it to go over to one of the big like Staples and have them do it on the big machine, because the pattern comes with a 36-inch pattern, which will print it on 2 pages versus you can print it at home on a regular printer paper and then stick them all together. So I'm going to see if I can get the big one printed out, and it'll make life a little easier. So that's my new adventure, because I need more adventures. Because being you know, a mom with the twins and everything, and the knitting and the crocheting, you need to start sewing. So one of the little projects that I did, just to I had to sew something. Everybody's sewing and making all these beautiful things. So I have a jewelry bag that my mom had made me for Christmas one year, and I thought that would be really great for notions or stitch markers. So I made one, a smaller one, and it came out pretty cute. Look at that. The fabric is so fun. It's just leftover fabric I had. My mother-in-law is a beautiful seamstress, and she helped me make curtains for our old house. And you can't really tell too much because I guess the flowers are bigger. Figured it isn't a little flower. But I did cranberry on the inside, and then more flowers in the middle. Try and stretch it so you can see. So it's a big circle, and it opens up, and it's got 4 little pockets, and then you could actually put bigger things in the middle, like a measuring tape and a small pair of scissors. But in the pockets you could fit your needle case, stitch markers, progress keepers, and when it's closed a little bit you can see the pockets and everything. So this is going to be a lot of fun. And then it closes up nice and tight. It's so cute. And you could have so much fun with all the different fabric choices. So this was a fun little project. I did it in an afternoon. I was able to do it with the kids running around, which was even better. They were curious about the machine, but they didn't you know, stick their fingers in any place they weren't supposed to, and they listened to me. So that was good. That was good. So while I was also at Joann's and thinking of that little bag, I happened to get a few more pieces of fabric. Not exactly sure what everything's going to be yet, but you can never have too many pieces of little fabric when you're in a creative mood. So I got this beautiful navy with the light pink and coral pink and grays, and then a little gray to be a contrast color. Then I got a super fun one with lots of pairs coming and going and upside down and tons of bright colors. And this is a leftover one from a different project. Polka dots, hot pink polka dots. So I think those will go well together. So I guess even though I have this fear of sewing, I keep attempting it. And the things I've made don't come out bad. But I want to get over that. I want to get over the fear. I just want to get over my fear. I don't know why I have certain fears about crafting. And it's like the socks. I got into the socks and I'm having so much fun. Now I'm going to get to the heels and they're going to be a challenge and it's going to be fine. And I'm going to, you know, cut up a piece of fabric the wrong way and I'll work around it and it's going to be fine. It's just fabric. It's just yarn. I think I can get there. I think I can get there. So, what else have I bought? I bought myself something just for myself that was special. I wanted to try out the needle cozies because for my socks they were getting tangled. And I went on Etsy and I got this one with sushi all over it and it's adorable. Hi, welcome back. Sorry for the cutout. My phone ran out of storage. So that's the downside to recording on my phone. I have 5,000 pictures of my children on there. So I'm going to try not to get too far off again and pick up where I left off, which was I was showing you my beautiful needle cozy from the Gnome Knitter. She is on Etsy and she has an amazing store. She has lots of beautiful sewed things like these needle cozies, but she does amazing work with charms and stitch markers and progress keepers. And she was amazing and sent me 2 to give away as prizes. So I don't know if I said it already, but keep an eye on my Instagram because there will be a giveaway coming up soon. So I have 2 to give away. One is a lemon square, and it is a progress keeper. It has on the little graham crumb crust with the lemon and the powdered sugar, and these are just amazing. And this one is a waffle with the butter and maple syrup, and this one is a stitch marker. So these are fantastic. Thank you so much. That was so generous. And my very first given to me prize to give away to give to my viewers. So this is awesome. These are the first prizes, and they are going to go and find a great home. So I'm just going to check my notes because I'm a little off of what I already talked about. But I think as far as things that I've purchased, that's where I ended. I talked about my sewing. I got the fabrics. I got some yarns for my blanket, the twins blanket at Hobby Lobby, and I ordered my needle cozy, which I'll probably be getting another one soon because I have 2 sets of needles, so I need 2 cozies. So the second to last thing I wanted to talk about was books. Made it to the library this week. They had a amphibious show there, an amphibian show for the kids. Reptiles, there we go. They had reptiles from the zoo for the kids this week, and we went to check it out. They had a baby alligator. They had a Louisiana swamp rabbit that can swim, one of the only rabbits, I believe they said, that could swim, and they had frogs and a snake, and the kids had a great time. They got to pet the rabbit and the alligator, and I was very brave and ran through the library with 2 screaming kids that I was trying to explain to them that you have to be quiet in a library to get to the knitting section. But in the knitting section, I found custom socks. And this was one of the books that I was talking about in my last episode of wanting to check out. So this is fantastic. There's lots of beautiful patterns in here. This one I don't know if you'll be able to see, but it has it's very vanilla sock, but it has beautiful design that just goes right down the back of the leg, and the rest of it is plain stockinette. And from what I've gotten through so far, it has some great charts for how to measure your foot, and it talks a lot about types of yarn to use and what makes them a good yarn for socks. So that's great, and I'm really excited to read more of this. The second book was an audio book, and it was Knitlandia by Clara Parks, and I listened to that in about 1 week, maybe 4 days. It was wonderful. I want to learn even more and more about different yarns and fibers now, and her book, The Yarn Whisperer, is next on my list for sure. She is the narrator for the book, and you really get her emotions come through with the stories she's telling. She paints beautiful pictures of all the yarns of all over the world, Iceland and Ireland, and going out to, I believe, New Mexico, and she talks about Rhinebeck, and it's just, I don't want to give away the whole book, but obviously it's all about yarn and all of her travels, and it's awesome. I love it. Clara, you did a wonderful job, and I can't wait to read your next book, and I'm looking forward to getting her books all about just the different types of yarn and fiber, and reading more about it. The last book I haven't received yet, but should be here August 3rd, and I'm surprised I haven't heard anyone else talk about it, making me a little nervous that maybe I've ordered the wrong thing. But it is Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. It is the play manuscript from the production that's being put on in the West End in London, the play. So I believe it's the right story. I'll find out in a couple days, but that will probably, you won't hear from me for a while once that, you get into the Harry Potter books, and that's the end of it. So I'm super excited about that, and of course that's making me want to knit something Harry Potter themed in a Harry Potter themed yarn while reading Harry Potter and watching Harry Potter and doing all the Harry Potter things. So we'll see where that takes us. So those are my books, my book adventures this week, and story tales. Other than that, I can tell you a little bit about what we've been up to besides going to the library. We made it to the aquarium this week. We are very lucky to have a family pass that my sister Elizabeth gets the boys each year for their birthday and Christmas. And we can go to the aquarium and the zoo here in New Orleans. They're beautiful. We're so lucky to have them. So we took a trip over to the aquarium, and we had a wonderful day. The boys wanted to see all the birds. That's all they asked for. We want to see the penguins. We want to see the parakeets. We want to see the owl. And I said, they have a lot of fish there too. And they said, no, the penguins. So we had a great time. And I put a little video, if all goes well, at the end here, and you can see our trip to the aquarium. A couple of the shots, and we had a great time. Let's see, and that's about it. We are going to Florida in a couple weeks to visit my sister-in-law and my sweet little niece Audrey. I have not met her yet. They live up in Oregon. My brother Jesse's in the Coast Guard, and he's actually deployed at the moment out on a cutter out in the ocean. He flies helicopters, so he's flying a helicopter off the back of a ship. Crazy. But Jessica will be here. Her family's from Florida, and we're going to drive out and see them because they're not too far away. So I'll get to meet my sweet little niece and hopefully take a little trip to a yarn store along the way and have some new yarn and a little adventure to share with you all. And I think that's it. I wish you all a wonderful evening and a wonderful week. I'm going to try and stick to every 2 weeks for right now. And that seems to be the good time for me to have something to show and a lot to talk about. And also, once the school starts in September, we'll see how it goes. Maybe I can do it more often because I'll have some free time. So you all have a wonderful night, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.